This week, new polling out of Pennsylvania is very positive for the Convention of States movement's progress there. In the scientific survey, 67% of all respondents across party lines support an Article 5 convention for proposing term limits on Congress and bureaucrats, federal spending restraints, and limiting the power of the federal government. Here's more from Convention of States President Mark Meckler on the Sunday night battle cry.
67%, so over 2/3 of people support Convention of States. That includes 75% of independents, 55% of Democrats, 79% of Republicans, and the majorities of all three groups. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. What else can you think of where the majority of Americans, the majority of each party, the majority of all these different groups all support the same thing? That's really weird in divided times. Across the age ranges, by the way, 70% of 18 to 44-year-olds, 66% of 45 to 54-year-olds, 71% of 55 to 64-year-olds, 63% 65 to 74-year-olds, and 64% of 75 plus. The second strongest group is the youngest generation. Voters expressed a willingness to cross party lines to vote for a candidate who supports Convention of States. 69% of Republicans said they would do this, 70% of Democrats, so virtually the same, 77% of independents.
It's proof that Pennsylvania is ready for their state legislature to vote yes for COS. For more info, visit conventionofstates.com. That's also where you can find a new report from Article 5 scholar Robert G. Nadelson, who has penned a new article expanding on the safety of the interstate convention process. You can read more at the Convention of States website. Heritage Foundation president and Convention of States endorser Dr. Kevin Roberts made a surprising appearance at the World Economic Forum, and here's what he had to say.
Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change. The solutions, the average person know, cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves.
On January 17th, intrepid members of the Convention of States Hawaii team braved long security lines and threatening weather to launch the team's 9th annual legislative session. Our steadfast volunteers worked the crowd, collecting petition signatures and spreading the word about Article 5 before moving upstairs to visit their legislators. COS teams across the country are making similar efforts, so you can reach out to your state team by volunteering on the Take Action page and participate in COS Surge Days and rallies. Our Wisconsin team sent over 400 communications in support of a parental Bill of Rights. After our call to action ensued, the full assembly then passed the bill by a vote of 62 to 35. The Convention of States team in Kentucky held its annual rally at the Capitol with Mark Meckler and Rick Santorum as keynote speakers. Shortly thereafter, our resolution was introduced in the Kentucky Senate, with 6 sponsors having been previously already introduced on the House side. This week, 3 new co-sponsors have signed on to our application in South Dakota. Meanwhile, in South Carolina, the House passed H4624, which is a bill forbidding transgender surgeries on children, by a vote of 82 to 18. Our South Carolina team is supporting this bill as a measure to protect the fundamental rights of children to have their persons protected from harmful medical procedures to which they cannot yet give informed consent. Members of our New Hampshire team gave testimony at a hearing of the House Committee on State Federal Relations and Veteran Affairs to oppose a resolution that would rescind past New Hampshire Article 5 applications on the basis of false information about the Article 5 process.
And let's be honest, the federal government has really run away, right? It's run away from the people. I think Article 5 is to break the glass in case of emergency. That's where we're at right now.
Great job to the New Hampshire team for showing up. Here's a few snapshots of events going on around the country, from Oklahoma to Texas to Ohio and Maryland. And finally, leaked footage recently from Senator Ira Presswright in a Zoom meeting he held with other Convention of States opponents. Here's an excerpt.
My name is Senator Phil McCoffers, and I oppose COS.
Hi, Phil.
I hate everything about COS, really. I hate their amendments. I hate that it's grassroots. I hate that both parties support it. The voters, not the leadership. A big difference. They have average Americans picking up and reading the Constitution. Like, what is this country coming to? Just because Washington, D.C. is worsening the border crisis and the economy, and the schools, and the elections, and the healthcare system, and the judicial system, and the vaccines, and the masks, and the mandates, and foreign wars, and China, and all the issues with young people, and all the issues with old people, and the corruption, and all the dirty deals, and the Epstein thing, and the J6 thing, and the Uniparty thing, and the deep state, and the existential threat of communism and World War III, does not mean things need to change.
These people are the greatest threat to America since Elon Musk. They're more dangerous than North Korea combined. We've got to stop them, you hear? Stop them. They must be stopped. Stop. Oh, more more coffee, thank you.
That video comes to us courtesy of Will Zort and the COS Maryland team. And now, you're up to date with Convention of States.